So this is an interesting movie because it's essentially a true story, not in any of the details, but in the overall premise. Because I used to be just terribly afraid of the dark all the time. I just couldn't help imagining that perhaps the most terrifying thing I could imagine was in my room in the dark and I couldn't detect it. Alright, so today I'm going to go through Spooked and essentially do a director's commentary. Except I'm going to be pausing it and talking at length about things. Let's get into it. Spooked, short film by Gabriel B. Hammer. Terribly grainy sound there. This definition that comes up on screen here, the last change I made to the movie was trying to think of what to call it. I had no idea. I thought of calling it various things. I won't tell you what. I considered a bunch of things, and then I thought of the word spooked. And then at the beginning, I had this really flat, like planimetric shot of the basement in the first scene. And I was like, you could put text on the screen there and that would work pretty well. I like it. I think it works just fine. A lot of the shots here are too dark. What I did was I genuinely had very low lighting, and I turned all the camera settings up pretty high, as high as I was comfortable putting them, and then just adjusted the lighting piece by piece until it was dark enough for me. At least you can genuinely tell it's very dark. In a lot of Hollywood movies and dark scenes, it doesn't actually feel dark. But this really does feel dark. It feels like your night vision is kicking in. It's too lengthy. My biggest problem with the movie is it's too lengthy. It takes too much time. He hears something. I hope it's clear that he heard something and that he's not just randomly doing this. This basement that he's in here was full of stuff and full of like kids' toys and things like that. And so every single shot you see in the movie, I fought so hard. I would clean for like an hour before every single shot. It was an incredible feat of cleaning. Shines across the camera. I was very careful to shine it across the camera so you get that flare. This composition, I was really proud of this shot here because it's really hard to have a shot where your eye is drawn immediately to the light switch and nothing else. And so I'm pleased with this shot, and I always have been, that the only thing you look at is the light switch. As every little kid does, he runs across the room and turns the light on. He sleeps in his jeans. I like how it's framed in the darkness here. I think that's cool. It's a combination of feeling like you're almost like a stalker in his house, sitting in the dark watching him, and at the same time he's kind of hemmed in. That shot of the chandelier there is good. One of the only ADR sounds in the movie is him pouring that, because you couldn't hear him pouring it. When he shuts the lip of the kettle, you can hear that it's right in your ear. And then when he puts it on the stove, you can hear that it's far away. So, not the best, but not terrible. I tried to compose it so you could see as many lights as possible. That sound effect, in our basement, we have a punching bag hanging from the ceiling. And so what I did was I put the audio recorder on the ground, one floor above where the punching bag is, and I would just pick it up like an inch or two and then drop it, which is probably not good for your house. And I did that like 5 times and then combined all those sounds, and it makes for a terrifying sound, and you genuinely don't know what would make such a sound. But it worked out well. Oh, this shot... Oh my goodness. It took so long to get this shot because my sister was the camera operator. You see later in the shot, the camera pans to the left. So I had my sister doing the camera operation, one of the sisters who's in the credits. I could not keep a straight face. I could not stay in character. I was like doing my New York accent and like thinking of all the jokes I could think of, and it was not getting the movie done. We were, I think, doing this shot for like at least half an hour, this one shot. The way where the camera stops here is perfect. He looks down. This shot I really liked when I thought of it. He runs down the stairs like that. This is extremely similar to one of the last shots of the movie when he turns off all the lights and is left in a silhouette. This shot and that shot are incredibly close to identical, but they're actually not because I got them on separate occasions. He tries to open the door. I don't totally understand what the logic is there of him trying to open the door, because it's like, those doors locked? I don't see how him being unable to open those 2 doors back there means that nobody has broken into his house. I don't see what the logic is. I don't think I ever knew what the logic was. But in any case, both the doors are locked. And also it's weird because later in the movie, he opens up that closet under the stairs. So the logic is not super clear, but whatever. He's perfectly framed in the doorway there. That was accidental. He hears a different sound. He wakes up, goes down. Getting slightly less real time. Again, the way this shot pans to the right and then stops is very similar to the way that one shot panned to the left and stopped, where it's framed in white on either side and you can see a light switch. That was not accidental. It wasn't exactly on purpose, but it was not a mistake. The lighting here is really weird because I had a lamp. I don't know why I lit it this way. I'm sure I had some reason. This shot was so hard to get. I had to have my sister in the garage turn off some of the switches in the breaker, but not all of them. The lighting that you can see is from a lamp that's covered in like a bunch of papers and whatever else I could find to really mute the light. So she had to turn off some breakers, but not whatever breaker would turn off that lamp. This shot I'm pretty proud of because I think that genuinely does look like moonlight there. It's not, it's just our outside light, and I've just turned off all the rest of the lights, but it sure looks like moonlight. Reaches in, throws it down, looks behind him. This shot here, oh my goodness, where he runs down the stairs and the camera pans down to follow him. First of all, is maybe the first shot I thought of for the movie. It's like he's going through something of a maze, and you can only see around the next corner once he shines his light on it. I still wasn't able to perform it as energetically as I would have liked, but I still really do like the shot. This closet, this was not fun. Well, actually it was fun, but this shot is some of the best lighting I've ever done. It really does look like it's only illuminated by that flashlight, like bouncing off the ceiling, but it's not. That flashlight contributed nothing. I had a lamp set up in the back of the room with a bunch of papers on top of it, like just sheets of paper folded up and stuck on top of the bulb, and it made for a good result. I'm still quite pleased with the lighting in this scene. The continuity here is a little rough. So it's this shot right here. This shot is kind of a reference to a Tarkovsky movie. At the end of Nostalgia, that character, Sergei, I'm not sure what his name it was, but he's at the bottom of that Italian pool and he puts the candle on that little ledge. And it's like the moment of the movie. And so this one was sort of homage to that, where instead of putting a candle on a ledge, he's taking a flashlight off of a desk. It's practically the same thing. Does this, looks at it. Sound effect there was interesting. The sound effects in this movie, like the flashlight glitching and then going out, or the power going out as he's walking up the stairs, took me a while to get, and it's pretty obvious that it's sound design. Like you can hear that sound is coming out of a different part of the speaker that the rest of the movie doesn't utilize. It was hard to do the ending of this movie because I couldn't figure out what it was. Like, I had been writing this movie for 5 months on and off. I had various times sat down and thought through what I wanted the movie to be and what I wanted the ending to be and whatever. And I kept coming up with various ideas. And I just wasn't sure how I wanted it to end. In fact, I had shot the majority of the movie before I figured out what the heck the ending was. It was really only with this shot here that I had a clear idea how I wanted it to end. And by the way, I don't know how noticeable it is, but the whole movie, you can hear this of the audio recorder as he's closing his eyes and really embracing the doom. You can hear all the sound dip out, and it becomes essentially muted. And it's the only time in the movie when your ears get a rest. And I don't know if that's noticeable, but when I really think about it and listen to it, I think it's nice. I just wish it were more pronounced. The camera's too low down. His eyes touch the top of the screen. Back to this composition here. This shot leading up to the moment of turning the light off now. I had no idea that this is what this moment would look like. I had no idea that this would probably be the most beautiful part of the movie. It was just kind of accidental. I just knew where I needed the camera to be, and I knew that I would turn off the lights. Walks up the stairs. This, I believe, was the last shot of the movie. I think it was the last thing I filmed. I remember the feeling I had when I was there filming it. It was really... I couldn't believe that I had gotten to the end. And that's kind of what the character's feeling. His tea's cold. And he couldn't sleep before, but he can sleep now. The end. So this is an interesting movie because it's essentially a true story. Not in any of the details, but in the overall premise. Because I used to be just terribly afraid of the dark all the time. I was afraid of various monsters I had heard of or seen in movies or whatever, and I was just always scared of them. I just couldn't help imagining that perhaps the most terrifying thing I could imagine was in my room in the dark, and I couldn't detect it. That was just a scary idea to me. And so this movie sort of depicts that idea, a character who's afraid in that way. So there are little details in there that I thought are pretty true to life, like him running across the room to turn the light on, him turning on every single light in the house. So it's a fairly true story in essence, though not in any of the details. As a matter of fact, this movie helped me be less afraid of the dark. It's not that this movie cured my fear of the dark, but it is true that I have not at all had a problem being afraid of the dark since this movie was finished. So if anyone out there wanted to know more about Spooked, I hope this was just the thing. So thank you for watching. Goodbye.